My name is Steve Chaisson, and I will be hosting your meeting this evening. If we could, what I'd like to do is just go around just a 10-15 minutes. So we got a couple of new faces, and we got quite a few people who are not here this week because there's conventions and some other things going on. A lot of people out of town. But go ahead.
I'm here. I heard that.
You say building?
Stephanie Paha, I'm a realtor with Exit Realty, Wildlife and Associates, Murfreesboro.
I'm Jamie. To start.
Boy car, wholesaler. Anthony Branch, as well.
Larry Cox with Public State Mortgage, mortgage lender by day, and a little dabbling in property.
Les Sliders, investor.
Monica Restrepo, realtor with Keller Williams.
Karen Higgins, I work for Green and did some investment.
Marina Future Realtor.
Future Realtor?
Yeah,
That's new. All right. Very good. Very good.
Eric Raines, just here because I've always been interested, and here I am, future realtor.
Okay, and did you? I know. Did Stephanie invite you? Okay, I was just wondering who introduced you, Eric.
Eric.
Okay, great, awesome. And last but not least,
Thank you. Wade McMillan, investor / wholesaler / short seller. Short sales.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay. Does anyone have any wholesale properties they want to introduce this week? Unless you got the one. Did you guys sell that one? Very nice. Very nice. I figured you guys get that moved. All right. All right. Didn't know if anybody had any properties. Since we got a couple of people here, I'd like to. Sometimes we have different speakers that come. Sometimes we just pick a topic. Just winging it just a little bit tonight. Trying to get Jeremy or Paul, and I guess both those guys are out of town this summer.
Where's Repara?
Repara is at the EXP convention.
Yeah, so when it comes to winging it.
Is that his phone?
I'm right here, Larry. And that's Mr. LaPera to you.
Okay. I've got if you guys are interested, somebody 1220 Kingston Springs Road. Me and my left-handed road. And that's in Kingston Springs. 125,000. Cheapest listing right now in Kingston Springs is 177,000. This is over 1,450 feet. Nice lot, needs work. I'll say 225 out if you know what you're doing. That's what we'd like to get. Actually, I say that's building a wholesaler fee in. If somebody can get us 125, we'll take 124. I've got a commercial deal in Clarksville, if I was anyone to something like that also.
You say commercial in?
Yes. It's 3,300 feet, 625 Cumberland Avenue. I need to get 125,000. But I mean, you can hit a golf ball to the courthouse. It's literally right in the middle of downtown.
What is that?
625 Cumberland Avenue. It was used as an auto repair shop. With the new historical overlay, they've got a lot of gentrification going. They won't allow that anymore. But there's a million uses you could do for it. So, but yeah, I'd like to net 125 on that one. You can net 120 on this one. So those are a couple of solid wholesale properties for you guys and the wholesalers out there that I want something to chew on this week. I'd like to sort of find out with our new people, are you guys a part of any group or anything like this right now? You say you're a builder. Are you primarily a realtor or a builder? Okay, so you list your own stuff. Okay, where do you build?
We're building Shelbyville. We've got 167 homes coming in on one subdivision, underground utilities, gated community, beautiful community, and then we're in the zoning and planning commission of Bedford County. Another subdivision, we'll have about 200 homes there coming in.
Bedford next year.
3 bedrooms, 2 bath, primarily 2-car garage, zone bedrooms. Most of it's one level, masters down. Very, very nice community.
How much a foot are you able to get those out for? 150, 130.
Oh no, we're probably about the 120 range.
Okay, good.
Yeah, we started at $85. We started at $85 per square. We're about 120 now. I just listed a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2-car garage. When we put a contract on it for $230, you get a lot more bang for your buck there.
Yeah,
taxes are a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
and it's about probably a 25 minutes from Murfreesboro, probably 35 minutes from downtown Asheville. On 41,
these guys are both with ex-realty in Murfreesboro, so I don't know if you worked with them in land office. Yeah. So, okay.
I also have a historical home built in 1989. We've been there for 18 months. We probably got another 501 Belmont. It's 4 bedrooms. It's 4,365 square foot. But all the antiques that were in it, we put back in. We just won a national competition in the Coast Department for the entire nation of a one that was supposed to be torn down to a redo. We got it in everything, so we just found that out. But
are you gonna make money with it? No,
that's $399.9 is where we're at on the asking price. It's we had it at $450, but the Shelbyville will take it. Yeah.
Unless you got land.
Big lot, double lot actually, but it's.
You got a horse farm, you get $450 out there.
But it is a beautiful house. Antiques.
Okay.
Very nice. We put right back in.
Okay, gotcha. And now, Eric, are you in real estate right now? Or are you?
No.
Okay, just looking to get started up.
Yeah, just kind of the beginning stages.
Okay.
I've always been interested in it, just never took the leap.
Never taking the plunge and well, we've all been at that point at some place. A couple of us are still, but I mean, these guys have jumped up and literally started within the last few months.
Yeah. What is May? May.
Okay. And you've got 6 or 7 deals on your belt now.
Yeah. Once you start, really getting out there, it don't take long.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, it's different for people starting up. Depends on what you're doing. But Andrea, did you have anything particular that you wanted me to go over? Because I'm about to just start something up because I was expecting to be here and I was to grab him. So we're making this one up as we go.
Who's riding in?
Well, I'm having a hard time picking up your microphone.
Yeah. What is that? Is my mic having a hard time? So you're having an audio issue with my mic?
Yeah, you're kind of low
Yeah.
because
You're soft. The volume is poor for your mic. I'm hearing other people fine, but your mic is poor.
Is this my mic?
No, that one's having issues. So behind Wade, you got to speak up a little bit.
Hello.
What's a long way from a mic?
Yeah, ironically, I hear Larry very well.
Larry has a big.
What you could do is make Larry run the meeting.
Yeah, I got some deals.
Smart.
Eric,
Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve. Yeah, I just left Lauderdale. There's 20,000 tarps on top of roofs, and what I hear is there's 50,000 tarps in the Naples-Fort Myers area. I just talked to a couple of guys down there who are selling their houses cheap, and that's just in the 10 minutes that I was out looking at houses. I mean, if anybody wants to do any deals down here, there's a lot of property to be had, and it's like 2 blocks from the beach.
Flight next weekend.
Just a thought of conversation.
Are you still? I'm going to go ahead and pick up the auction topic to make something really interesting for everyone. So that mic is still giving us a problem.
It's the one you're
I'm actually hearing you much better now. I don't know if you made an adjustment or not, but now it sounds normal.
Marcus, do you have the volume turned up now where everybody can hear?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to talk about auctions tonight. I'm going to tell you why you should or why you shouldn't buy a property auction. First of all, how many people in here have purchased a property at auction before? How many of you have? Okay. Lloyd? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So buying properties at auctions, I'm going to go over a couple of things for you guys. And we, with our members, we actually train with some of this stuff online. The state of Tennessee, as you may know, is a deed of trust state. Okay, so when you purchase your property, you pledge your deed to a trustee. Technically, you don't own your property. It is held in the deed is held by the trustee. So you pay your debt, and then there's a release issue on that deed of trust. And if you are delinquent, if you do not make your payments, they can foreclose, and it's a non-judicial foreclosure. So deed of trust states make the foreclosure process easy for banks. In the state of Tennessee, they have to issue 3 notices over the course of 20 days. They literally, if you make a late payment and they make that notice, they can foreclose on your property 20 days later. Normally, that doesn't happen. There's usually some time that elapses before that happens. A couple of interesting things that you have to look for, and we ran into a couple of these things this week, and I'm going to get into some slightly more esoteric concepts. There was a property in Murray County. Les and I were at the auction, and it appeared as if a first mortgage was foreclosing. Okay, there was a mortgage that was recorded in May of 2013. There was also another mortgage that was recorded in August of 2013 that appeared to be the same amount as the previous first mortgage. So in Tennessee, we are what you call a race to record state. Okay, that means when a mortgage or a deed of trust forecloses, it's the senior lien. It's the lien that's been recorded before all other liens. Everything else gets wiped out except for property taxes. That never gets wiped out. Okay. There's a concept that a lot of people don't know about. It's called equitable subrogation. What happens is if there's been a refinance that's done and the funds from that refinance flowed through and paid off that first mortgage, then the second mortgage is equitably subrogated to the first. Okay? Even though it could be recorded at a later date. And you may think you're dealing with a first mortgage. You could actually be dealing with a second mortgage. Okay? So just some of the little things why you need to speak to an expert anytime you're thinking about buying a foreclosure. If you do not have an attorney that you deal with personally, I mean, we're experienced enough to look at the title. We have multiple attorneys that we talk to because we're close to the properties. We can give them a call. We get a title opinion. We don't necessarily get title insurance because you can't buy title insurance until you get a deed, which is another pitfall. Just keep that in mind. When you buy a property at auction, you buy essentially whatever right the lender had in that property. But this is a rare case. And Celeste and I had the conversation because the last thing I want is us to get hurt. It's a rare case, but if the funds, even though this was a private mortgage that was foreclosing, was recorded at a later date, if the funds had been used to pay off that first mortgage, we could have been dealing with a case of equitable subrogation. Larry, you may be familiar with that term. I don't know if you've ever.
I'm familiar with the term, but I haven't ever actually run across it in real life.
So I'm gonna do another pitfall, and Larry and I have run across this term, unfortunately, by an attorney who didn't know what they were doing, and that's called after acquired title. Okay. So let me explain after acquired title. Let's say I am Steve Chaisson, okay, and I buy a property in the name Steve Chaisson. Okay? But I go to the bank and Steve Chaisson LLC signs for the loan. Okay. Technically, I'm not on the hook for that. And Steve Chaisson goes and gets a bunch of liens, judgments against Steve Chaisson. Chaisson LLC doesn't have those judgments. But afterwards, the title company files a Scrivener's affidavit. Okay, they say, well, this was supposed to be Steve Chaisson as a personal guarantee for Steve Chaisson LLC. Guess what? Let's call it after acquired title. It's a very serious issue, and it's something that we have run into on a foreclosure. We were able to sort of peel all of it away. It is a legal process that you have to go through to get it done. So these are some of the pitfalls. And this is dealing with normally what I say, two primary situations when you're buying a foreclosure. When I look at the title, and I'm going straight to the and getting some extra, input on it. We're dealing with an estate, and there are heirs involved. If you do not have the proper chain of title in an estate or anywhere where there's been an estate, you could wind up with a title issue. And you've got to have if a lot of people, you could be dealing with a situation where someone passed away intestate, which means without a will. And if somebody passed away intestate, the chain of title has to have recorded affidavits of heirship somewhere. In other words, it has to say, okay, this person passed away, these were the two children, and someone out there made an affidavit to that effect that they knew the original, the decedent, and that these were the heirs at law for the property. And if that's not on title, you're going to have to go find one because you won't get title insurance if you don't have that. That's one situation. As I mentioned, after acquired title is another situation that you guys can run into. Equitable subrogation is another situation. Another situation, and what I was saying before, the two primary things that I take straight to the attorney are someone's had a bankruptcy because there are multiple judgments involved and creditors everywhere. If someone had a lot of creditors coming after them, it could be something that you don't see. Now, most people, when they go to auctions, run what we call a one-owner chain. That means we just look back at the one name in the records, and we see this, okay? That's fine to an extent, but you can still have problems. And what I'm doing is I'm sort of educating you guys on some of the problems you can run into. You still take those risks because there's a big profit in it, and usually fixing them is not extremely costly, but I'll get into a couple of other things that's been costly. We actually ran into one, a property that we purchased. There was a development done in the 1990s, and there was an unreleased lien from the original development. Virtually every condominium in this place is Huntington Ridge. Over on, just so you guys know, if you ever run into it as a realtor, the backside of Huntington Ridge, there's still several units that have sold that property and have not recorded the release on the original development lien on several of those backside of condos on Huntington Ridge. And so we had to wait another basically 45 days to close. So that can cost you some money there when you have to wait. That's not the one we did with you. That's the other one. There's another one that we bought back there. So that's one issue. Obviously, dealing with estates is another issue. You do one other title search. One thing you have to keep in mind, and this is another thing that we had in Columbia, the last name. Okay, when you're running a title search, any of you guys know what the word Boolean means? I'm going to go back to my geek days in high school. Okay. So a Boolean search is a string search. Okay? When you run a Boolean search, they're essentially the exact parameters. When you put the parameters in, it's going to search exactly like you tell it to search. So the last name of this person was Pierre-Lewis. Okay, does anybody see a possible problem in the public record with that? That's true. You see a problem? Okay. Because let me explain what the problem is. How many iterations of Pierre-Lewis could potentially come up as somebody's last name? First of all, there's Pierre, Lewis, then there's Lewis, right? Okay. Well, what happens is if you run a search and there's a record that's been filed under this name, but you just ran this name because you thought this was the right spelling. And the title abstractors make professionals make these mistakes. Okay. Now they've got all kinds of stuff now with all the title companies have a lot more accurate records. They've got their own records beyond what we have in the courthouses. The various iterations of his name when you're doing a one-owner search, and even your attorney, when they call the attorney, you're going to the auction, you do the one-owner search. I mean, so anyway, this person could have a judgment, and they may have only shown up with their last name is Lewis. And this just happened to be the situation we were dealing with that had a potential problem with equitable subrogation. So those are a couple of the pitfalls. Another thing, the state of Tennessee generally, if you're dealing with the larger auction houses, firms that do foreclosures, auction.com, Shapiro and Engel, Rocket Scott, Rose and Loveland, Wilson and Associates, they require a cashier's check at closing. Okay? So guess what? Your money's out there.
Are there any that don't? I thought they all did.
Well, no, they don't. So it's really, it's not a very smart place to be legally for a law firm. So any attorney that's worth their salt, which they're not necessarily worth their salt, should be closing with a contract until you receive the deed. So what's happening is you've got your money is in face, and you have an oral agreement. You don't have a deed. You can rescind your sale at any time. You can basically call them. I mean, I can. They may tell you you can't, but you can't. In other words, you don't have anything until you have the deed. You see what I'm saying? What they should do, and this is what a local law firm will do, is they will, or an attorney that really knows what they're doing, like a smart attorney, they will take a down payment, you will write a contract, and you will close within a specified time period, or they will have the deed prepared right there. Or you will walk over to their office and they will give you the deed when you transfer the money. So what you have essentially is you have what we call equitable title. You have an equitable interest in the property when you give them the money at the auction, okay? But you don't actually own it until you have a deed to record. So you have this magical gray area where all kinds of fun things happen. Sometimes the owner might get wind of the fact that you just bought their property. And guess what? They didn't know that, or they get mad. They start screaming. They call their attorney.
Well, we had that happen.
Yeah. So they call their attorney. And guess what? They can rescind these sales. So that's why what I do is I never go to the owner until I have the deed in hand and I go and record it. The second I go and record it, I drop a 14-day notice off at the door. And then that's like, hi. And then we go from there and just say, look, I have to go by procedure. We try to be very nice and very cordial, but that's procedure, okay? You record the deed. You don't say anything to anyone until you get the deed. And by the way, don't say anything to the Kingston Springs people because they still live there. Please don't say anything to the people there. That shouldn't go out in a bulk email. You got to take her.
What it does too for the law firms that don't give you your deed right away, or they take 7 to 10 days, is that after the sale, 2 or 3 days later,
They can rescind it.
Bankrupt.
Yep, that's right.
They'll check and say, instead of doing their job beforehand, so that's happened to me. I've actually.
And then they'll wait 3 weeks to send your $200,000.
That's right. I've actually gave them my money, and I've called myself and checked and saw the guy walking out. Had done the sale, and I stopped him and said, hey, they filed bankruptcy. I need my check back. They wouldn't even give me my checks back. It took me, like you said, 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're supposed to give you a check back. Yeah. I understand where they
3 or 4 years ago, though, Steve, before I got, well, I guess 4 or 5 years ago, before I got involved so heavily with you, the norm was to go bid. You win the bid. You didn't have to give them the money right then.
That was a fun time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but so I think you can enlighten everybody as to why maybe these law firms changed.
So a lot of places will still allow you 24 hours to wire the entire amount.
Sometimes a way.
Sometimes we. I just had one that they said 10 days. It just depends on who the firm is. Obviously, it was more of an issue in Memphis than here, but it was still an issue here. What we used to do is we would stack the deck. So, well, no, I'm saying everything. No, you're a wholesaler. It's totally legit. You're a wholesaler, and you could place a bid. Your buddy places a bid. The next guy places a bid. You got 10 shots at making a phone call to get it sold, and when they call you, you got 24 hours to wire. I bought one in Old Hickory. They called me. Shapiro called me 40 days later.
Yeah,
literally.
You'll take it.
Yeah. It was like, and it had gone. I was like 20th in the bidding process. Everybody had passed. Wow. And we bought it because it was a good deal.
But what was happening? Those people were tying up the property in the high bid and then shopping it, and they just called us. They called employees.
They messed their books all.
Well, yeah.
Well, now my understanding in Memphis, though, it got a little more crazy than that. They were actually threatening violence. Like the people were. Oh yeah. Yeah, they were. Oh yeah. They cracked down on it. They cracked down in Memphis. So they're a little sensitive in Memphis when they kind of about just any form of talking to each other. They just know, because what they were doing is they ran literally a bid reviewing operation there where where guys were threatening other people.
Really? No,
It was big money. It's big money.
Yeah, it was different when I was at the auction this week in Memphis.
It's a lot calling.
Yeah, but it's like three guys was arguing about something that didn't even matter to the bid. They were like, you overbid, and they got into it.
Oh yeah. There's big money in this stuff.
I was like, oh boy, man.
What I recommend, guys, is depending on what kind of investor you are and what you're doing, I always recommend if you're going to buy a property at auction, you need to just go through someone like Les or myself, and that's what I recommend because the learning curve to get here is long, and I not to say you shouldn't try it if you had one that just you absolutely had to have and it was your perfect greenhouse. There's nothing wrong with it. Or sometimes out in a rural area, but even then, what happens is Les and I got to the point where we just it's a time thing. You spend a lot of time chasing this stuff if you don't know how to conserve your time. That's like anything. So the best thing to do is you always want to find the expert. Any kind of real estate investor, a wholesaler, anything, go find the expert, see what works, work right alongside. That's what Muhammad did with me. And I find him a house, he makes $40,000. The guy makes $50,000 a year. He made $40,000 on his first flip. So, but he did the smart thing. He started going and said, "Hey, find me a deal. I've got cash. You can wholesale it to me." That's a smart way to do it. It's a smart thing for any investor really to get going is to make as many wholesale contacts as possible. And then,
the same thing with Dan Sonny. He lived over in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Instead of us going over there and trying to bid against the locals, we just told him, said, "Look who's bidding."
Yeah.
Go up to the guy, offer him $5,000. He'll flip it to you. Sure enough, he did. Plus, he gave him time to go get his loan.
Yeah.
Wow. And then
I'm trying to build on one thing you can't do. Let me just say this first of all. You cannot accept if you know somebody. Like if Les and I go to an auction, we can know each other. We can partner together. I've bought properties from Les. He bought from me. I probably bought 10 or 15 at least from you. What you can't do is you can't accept a payment, and you can't collude to lower a bid. It's a violation of Sherman Antitrust Act. So keep that in mind. If you technically it's a felony. I don't know.
Depends on how much you want to push it, right?
Yeah. Well, I've never seen it. The only case where I've actually seen it come to fruition is the one in Memphis where they convicted them on bid rigging because they were becoming violent like that. So just keep that in mind. Now, whether or not you can have a discussion with somebody, if the lender is present and the attorney is present, and they allow you to have a discussion with somebody at the auction, I'd leave that to an attorney. But what I cannot tell anyone is, and will I say it happens? Yes, it happens where people show up and have been offered. They might negotiate.
They used to do that a lot here.
Yeah. Normally, the thing that you've got in Nashville is you've got a lot of people with a lot of money who basically they've partnered with each other 50 times, 50 different ways. And so, that's just what it is. It's guys that have tons of partners and friends. And you know what? That's a good place to be. Those are the guys you want to know. They're the ones that get the things done. Another thing is a lot of it, just like you said, Les, a lot of it's location specific. So, you're going to have a real hard time buying anything in Davidson County. I can tell you right now. You have a real hard time buying anything in Rutherford County. It's really, really hard. Shelbyville, you might have a shot. But less if you buy in Bedford from time to time. We bought down in Deckard before, and Manchester, every once in a while we'll go down there. Like to start in Chattanooga, but it's kind of I tell you, it's getting aggressive down there.
Prices have gone up in China.
Getting real aggressive. You got that outside money flowing in Chattanooga right there.
Where's that?
Yeah. So those are a couple of things that you deal with at auctions. As we were talking about, Larry, they used to allow us to not bring checks. If you're trying to make money in the business, there still are some where you don't necessarily have to bring the check. But you may be on a pretty wide search to try to find. If you're, and they're out there. They happen. People.
There's gotten deals before too.
Yeah. No, that's right. Absolutely.
Can I backtrack on the title search real quick?
Yes.
So did I understand correctly that if you go to auction, there's you don't do a title search prior to the auction, but you might kind of just take a glance back at the last buyer. So you're buying it as is. So if it turns out it doesn't have a clean title, did you say that you can still repair that and get title insurance going forward? Or
So here's what would happen. Normally what you're going to see is a warranty deed that went through a normal closing process, a regular deed of trust that closed through some attorney's office somewhere. And the deed of trust might be with Bank of America or SunTrust or Nations Bank or whoever. When you see that, or it's a Fannie Mae loan, you know that it went through a normal process. There's title insurance issued. So usually what you're going to do is you're going to hope that company still exists, because a lot of these companies that were here in the mid-2000s don't exist anymore. So you go back to that original company and see if you can find out, where was the title policy? Now, that title policy is not valid for you, but you would at least find out if there were an unreleased lien that you're seeing, that they oftentimes may have procured a copy for the closing, issued a title policy, still not recorded the release. You follow me? Yeah. So there may have been some documentation that was located, taken care of, and so what you generally would have to do is, have you ever had a quiet title?
I thought I was going to with the tax sale, but I ended up finding Old Republic to write it.
Okay. If you had a major title issue, you file a lawsuit. It's called a quiet title lawsuit. Just like it sounds, quiet title. It's going to cost you $2,500, $3,000, and the judge is going to basically come and you present your case, and if there isn't an actual tangible, valid lien holder that has a stronger case than you, then you're going to be fine. But usually it's something unreleased lien, or that could have been back years and years, or something in the chain of title. It could have been a family member, or a wife didn't sign. There's a million things that can happen. It's rare. I don't believe we've gotten close. I've never had to actually file a quiet title lawsuit.
Yeah, you did on you did on that little house up on not finance for you.
Okay, so that was a different issue.
It's a title related issue.
Yeah, well, that was it was
tax foreclosure.
Yeah. We were going to, but we had a cooperative situation. We split the profit. So, Chan McComb buys at tax sales. Pretty sharp guy, real sharp guy.
Not too sharp. He sit on that damn deed.
Well, you got to basically file the legal brief. He's not an attorney.
Yeah.
But he absolutely smoked the bank with that legal brief. We were in a situation where actually that was Justin Tarr that I did that deal with. It was one of his first two deals. I helped him on his first two deals, and he did the wholesale deal to me, and we did one over on West McKinney also. But we purchased the property, which it was purchased at tax sale, and then the guy didn't record the deed. And so what happened was We bought it. I owned it. Had it sold, and then I guess someone saw it in the MLS and realized, and they called my attorney and said, "Hey, I own this thing." I'm like, "Well, actually, you don't." And but he was nice about it, so we just split the profit on the resale. But he would have made a killing.
He was tied up for about 6 months.
No.
Well, somebody had my money.
The bank was trying to make a claim.
Yeah, it took a little while.
There were several issues with that. Fortunately, because the deal was so good, the funds were able to take care of everything. The area had gone up so much. I was on Hart right off of McLaren, and the area just, when we bought it, it was 74, 74,000.
No, this was 4 years ago.
Yeah, and resold it for like, I don't know, 125, something like that. 117. Gosh, now. So those are a couple of the issues, and I'm sure Andrea has a question because I know he's sitting back there. Andrea, just so you guys know, this Green Global Real Estate Education Network, Dr. Andrea Molinari is our director of education. He's in West Palm Beach, Florida. Anxiously waiting to ask questions because he sits and absorbs everything, and then usually fires off a couple at the end, closer to the end of the meeting.
Well, actually, it's in a scary sort of fashion. It's actually starting to all come into more focus for me. We actually, as you know, about 2 weeks ago, we went over to St. Petersburg, Florida, and filmed a brand new course that is going to be up on the website on title insurance. And so a lot of this conversation about the pitfalls, I'm just thinking about that lecture. It actually scares the hell out of me. I can't even imagine the courage that it takes to buy that house without being certain about what's going on with that title, because she pretty much put the fear of God in me. So
it's like going to a casino. Okay, if you knew that the odds were in your favor, you place the bet, but you have to have staying power, so you have to have a certain number of betting units. So ultimately, if you have infinite funds, it's the old Patterson method. If you have infinite funds, you could theoretically put yourself in a position of never losing within a lifetime, or within multiple lifetimes, or within 1,000 lifetimes. But once in 1,000 lifetimes, depends on how smart you are. I'm going to hit one more issue that should scare you, but something that you in Florida need to know. And it's another auction that it took these guys 2 years for the market to catch up and correct it and get them out of it. If you purchase a condominium, well, I'm going to hit two things here. Okay. First of all, if you purchase a condominium, the condominium documents, you need to read the bylaws. Now, bylaws have changed, and there were a lot of changes in 2008 when everything blew up, exploded. And there was a condominium act here in Tennessee in 2008. There was a big one in Florida, too, that changed a couple of fundamental things about ownership. One thing to remember, condominiums have to do financing, right? So they always make the first mortgage. They used to, but not necessarily anymore in Florida. Okay. But the first mortgage has lien priority. And guess what? The second mortgage does not have lien priority over the association. And over at Green Hills Terrace, the association fees are $500 a month. And there's a little condo, and they start mortgaging a second mortgage that's been sitting vacant for 3 years. And I realized this, and the guys were out there bidding, and I said, guys, you got a $50,000 association lien on this, and it's got priority over this mortgage. And they're like, they got more money, they don't care. I think they came out clean from that, didn't they?
Yeah.
They had enough money.
We just went to the board and negotiated.
Yeah, they didn't want to fight. So basically, the second mortgage does not take priority over an association lien. Okay, so sometimes we will see second mortgages go to foreclosure. It is a pain in the butt to get a payoff for the first mortgage. I mean, literally, it's so difficult.
There should be laws against that.
Yeah, and so you almost have to get an attorney to threaten them literally to get a payoff. So those are a couple things. Now, in the state of Florida, they now actually recognize the recording of the master deed as the first lien and lien priority, because condominium associations just got buried, couldn't survive. They still had to have their funds. So Florida's condos basically got really, really screwed up by the development boom and then the crash. I mean, it just jacked everything up. So in some places they have the idea that when the master deed is recorded, that actually, and some documents will say that it's valid first lien as of the recording date of the master deed. Okay, so keep that in mind. Another thing to keep in mind.
And that's only condos, not townhouses, not single family houses.
Anything with an association.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I think Florida changed it to 6 months.
Well, so that's what I'm about to get to. So what they do in Tennessee now is they're supposed to change their condominium documents, but if you buy a property at foreclosure, or you could be buying from a wholesaler as an investment, they're supposed to change their condominium documents to reflect this, but they don't. They can go back. They're supposed to put it in their bylaws, but they don't. They can go back and ask for 6 months worth of dues. Okay. Now, here's what happens. Okay. So let's say there was supposed to be an assessment on this unit. That assessment didn't get paid. And let's say it's a $5,000 assessment for siding. And you just bought this property at an auction. And you get to the closing table and they say, well, there's an assessment. The assessment was before the auction. We don't care. What are you going to do? No, you don't have to pay it. You can sue them.
The HOA.
Sure. What's it cost you to sue them?
More than
You see what I'm saying? You see, there's a little.
But you're not going to know about that unless you've done a title search, yes or no?
No, if you read the bylaws, you know, because the assessments.
No, I mean, you're not going to know if there's an assessment on that property unless you do a title search. I'm asking.
They're in the bylaws. Assessment
Sales is supposed to make notification too.
No, the notification is made.
Oh, okay.
But what happens is when you ask the management company for a payoff, they want the assessment paid with a sale of the property. They don't care.
I know that.
Yeah, and they're just going to say, hey,
money.
Hey, exactly. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to say, hey, give me my money. That's exactly what happens. That's right.
I mean, if there's a lien on it because of the lack of payment of assessment.
Okay, so that would
How
be
do you
different.
find that out?
The lien, believe it or not, the lien goes bye-bye with a first mortgage. The lien goes away.
But the UCC sometimes.
Because, yeah, now UCC is 10 years. That's different. But if there are assessments, that's what you have to watch. They know that's where we're going to. They can reach back and grab 6 months worth of dues. If they file that lien, that's gone.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is they won't necessarily just give up. They may say, we want our money, and then you're in a little bit of a fight. The final thing I'm going to leave you with, and a quick round of questions, and we'll finish up. Always read the legal description on the foreclosing instrument of what you're buying. Period. End of story. I don't know how to stress this 50 times. Anybody know what's that house out in Franklin, the big white elephant that Chaz Carter, Guy Sanford, 50 acres, split up 2 ways in Franklin. There's a house in 10 acres, and the bank, for financing purposes, you know that guy.
I talked to him, yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of a little shady, but he's shady like a fox. He's smart. Anyway, the conventional financing is split off 5 acres. The septic system is on the 50 acres with a guest house. Guess what? You just bought a cabin with no electricity or water. Williamson County is not going to turn on your electricity or water. And they did not, and they would not. Because the septic system, so they surveyed it. If you want to get smart, if you want to do a really intelligent thing, do the same thing. Just say, pretty darn clever, actually. Go and get your house foreclosed and own all of your land for free. That's exactly what he did. Wow. He's got 50 acres. He borrowed over $1.5 million on the land. That house was split off of 5 acres. It's a white elephant because the septic system was on his land. And what was financed was this. It's literally you can't live in it. I mean, you can go camp in it. I mean, you're allowed to do that, but you can't get electricity or water. Yeah. So the narrative or the moral of that story is always read the legal description on the foreclosing instrument. We had the same thing out in Mount Juliet, and I went out there, and these guys had not read the legal description. I was honest with them. I said, look, guys, because I never want to see anyone get hurt. And these are savvy dudes. These guys are real players. I said, they thought they were getting 30 acres. This guy's only 2 acres. Because the site had never been platted or surveyed, but the legal description actually had basically what do you call it, mortgage loan? It basically encumbered only 2 acres, and it was on the legal description. It was a modular home, or mobile home. And the legal description only encumbered the 2 acres out of the 30 acres. Okay, so when you foreclose, you don't really have a survey. You just got to look. You got something it's fuzzy, but you own it. You own what's in that legal description. That's it.
And that's it.
That's it. Yes.
That's why you can't go by the address.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Any other quick questions before I do my closing spiel? Questions? Comments? Spiel. Okay. So as you guys know, these meetings are always free and open to the public on Wednesday. We do have a more intense training program online. Several, probably about half the room is members already. The other half, you want to be members. We have some fabulous trainers. You can always come here for free. We do more intense stuff on Tuesday nights for the people that really want to get their game hands up, do some wholesaling, stuff that has more accountability. That's our Tuesday night training. For those of you who are involved with the online training, we charge $109.94 a month. That's it. We call it mental millionaires because you get to hang out with guys that have made millions of dollars, guys who have flipped hundreds of houses. I know we've got Larry's one of our speakers, trainers in the mortgage business. Jeff's brother is the #2 exit real estate agent in the world, and he's made over $1.5 million a year in commissions, and is one of our trainers. Paul Kazanovsky, who you guys know, a lot of fun, high energy. I'm more Mr. Rational. Paul is more of the inspiring guy, and so I think people who really know what we're doing in the real estate business know that you can't get the value that we're offering. We've also built this into a network marketing opportunity where you can actually pay to go refer this to your friends or get paid to learn. So you can introduce this to other people. We're going to have real estate brokers bringing this in as an education platform that they use to train their agents. Everything that we do for our members is recorded, and we archive it online. So we have a learning management system that's growing as we build all of it. And It's growing and growing and growing. You know, just like a big green fungus, right?
Actually, Steve, if I could interject a little commercial, today we had 3 different presentations. Sharon Restrepo in the morning was talking about short sales, and that is already on the archive associated with the calendar. Larry did a thing where he was talking with Steve about the interest rates and, you know, speculating about what's going to happen in the near future with that and how that might impact realtors and investors. And then one that I want to draw your attention to in particular, Michelle Moore did a really cool presentation on the 5 characteristics of a leader. And she was basically talking about how realtors and investors have a role of leadership that they may not be aware of, that they, you know, they work with their clients and they basically lead them through, you know, arguably one of the most significant, you know, interactions that they're going to have in their lifetime. And I would definitely urge you, we'll have that up by tomorrow, but it's definitely worth your time. It's about a 23-minute talk or so, and she really has some good material for you to think about in terms of how you carry yourself as a professional in the field. And so I would recommend it's totally worth your time.
So our training, no contracts, no obligations, $109.94 a month. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay with us. I say try us out for a month if you like it. If you don't, no problem. But you're always welcome here. These are free meetings on Wednesdays. We want this group to be lively and entertaining. So, and we have some really cool subjects from time to time here too. So, guys, thanks for coming. You're welcome to exchange cards. Usually, try to kick everyone out by 8 o'clock, even though sometimes we're here till 9 or 10. But 30 minutes, you know, hang out, meet, greet, exchange business cards, and talk to each other. Andrea, thank you.
No problem. Next week, Tim Hicks on home inspections will be our guest speaker.